superstitious at all.
The county of Somerset is in the southwest of England and sits on the Bristol Channel coast. This predominantly rural county has a mix of dramatic coastline, rolling hills and large flat expanses of land. The Somerset Levels cover an area of 250 square miles across the north and centre of the county. The patchwork landscape of grassland, wetlands and rivers is rich in biodiversity and historic landmarks. Rising to nearly 1,700 feet, Glastonbury Tor is one of the most spiritual sites in the country and has been drawing visitors to the region for hundreds of years. For those in search of a more permanent stay in the county, the village of Chew Magna was voted in 2011 as the UK's best village to live in. Its flagstone pavements are lined with pretty traditional stone cottages and a number of listed buildings. A few miles south, the man-made Chew Valley Lake, created in 1956, is renowned for its scenic beauty and birdlife and provides Bristol with most of its drinking water. Although the county is ranked 7th largest in the UK, it's far from being one of the most populated, making it an attractive option for those after a peaceful escape from the busy city.
You know, I think it's fair to say that Somerset would come close to the top of most lists of quintessential English counties. When looking around, it seems to have everything you'd be after. Thriving market towns, picture postcard villages and beautiful countryside like this. What more do you want? And when you think of the prices, well, that's very reasonable too. £315,000 is the average price of a detached property in Somerset, which is only £2,000 above the national figure. All I need now is a couple who are looking to move here, and that's exactly what we've got today. Let's meet them.
Marketing manager Lexi and recently retired Peter met at college in 1972.
I remember sitting in a lecture theatre thinking there's so many guys on this course, I've made the wrong decision. And Lexi walked in a little yellow short skirt and I thought, things are looking up. So, long time ago now, but the memory's still there, you know.
It was purple trousers and a yellow belt, but hey. Peter and I were in the same tutorial group from the very beginning. Yeah, you were my pal all the way through, really. 77 we started going out, and we married in 78.
After 44 years of friendship and 38 of marriage, they know the key to a long-term relationship.
The secret to making a success of it is the fact that we tolerate each other, we're good friends, and we give each other space. I think that's also important.
Yeah, a bit of give and take, and then I give up and she wins.
Yeah, fair enough.
They currently live in a 5-bedroom property in the Surrey commuter town of Camberley. But now their 2 children are grown up, it's just them and their 2 dogs, Alfie and Maisie, left at home. So they've decided to up sticks and move nearer to their daughter in Bath.
For me, the appeal of the countryside around the Bath area is that it's quite open. In Surrey, there are some beautiful places, but Surrey specialises in trees, which means that you don't see anything. I think to see open fields, and around Somerset, there are some beautiful, beautiful open fields.
You've got the fantastic history, but you're also close to the coast and you're also close to some beautiful countryside.
As Peter's already retired, he'll have plenty of time to explore the local landscape. And with Lexi planning to reduce her hours and work from home more, she's also hoping to have more time for herself.
Keeping active is really important to me, so yoga and Pilates are a really important part of my life now, and I'd like to be able to spend more time doing them. And I'd like Peter to take up golf. I'm not going to take up golf because I've got no eye for a ball at all.
No, you haven't.
So you can do that while I stand on my head somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
For Peter, a property with outside space to unwind is top of his list. He's looking for somewhere with project potential.
But I do enjoy pottering around in the garden and trying to make things look as nice as possible. And I would like to spend more time in the garden developing more interesting features, even if it's just more borders, a bit more vegetables. One of the things we really want is a nice garden, nice-sized garden where we can, you know, play around with it and get things just how we'd like them.
And somebody to show you which are weeds and which are flowers.
Absolutely, vital.
Lexi and Peter want to be within a 30-minute drive to their daughter in Bath, which focuses our search in the north of the county. All I need now is their property wish list.
Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny.
What a
Good
beautiful
morning.
spot and a gorgeous day.
Indeed.
Fantastic.
If this doesn't convince you to move to North Somerset, nothing will.
It is
Absolutely,
beautiful.
it's wonderful.
Yes.
Why have you chosen to look for a house here, then?
Well, it's the West Country. It's going to be near our daughter. We're looking for a place that's out in the country, bit secluded, market town.
You've mentioned all the things that attract people to the countryside, haven't you? You've got a daughter and a son.
Yep.
What's wrong with the son?
He's in Los Angeles.
OK,
That's not
right.
going to work, is it?
Now, geographically, you're looking in North Somerset because of its proximity to Bath. What if we found ourselves over the border in Wiltshire?
Yeah, that sounds good,
Yeah?
as long as
Yeah.
it's close by.
So let's talk about your new lifestyle then, Peter. Recently retired.
Yes.
What are you going to do?
Well, one of the things I'd really love to do is to get stuck into my own gardens.
How big is this garden going to be?
About half an acre would be really nice, so we could do a bit of vegetables, maybe a couple of orchard trees, apples, pears.
OK, let's talk about the house itself. What exactly are you looking for?
The first thing we both have fully agreed on is that it's got to be light and airy. We were looking, because it's just going to be the two of us and the dogs, but with the kids visiting from time to time, so sort of 3 to 4 bedrooms, that's not really any bigger than that. And then downstairs, we have said all along we definitely need 2 sitting rooms.
Why is that?
He likes watching sport.
I was going to say it's 4 room, isn't it? Yes.
I don't.
Absolutely vital, so she can watch her soaps and I can watch my sport.
How about style? Have you got anything in mind, or are you open-minded?
Well, I'm fairly open-minded. I mean, I like all the new technological gizmos, but, you know, a period house might possibly on the horizon. Who knows?
Well, it would have to be a light and airy period house,
Yeah,
and that
that's
could be
true.
difficult.
OK, how much money are you looking to spend?
Absolute maximum, £850,000.
You say you're open-minded. That's fantastic, because I'd like to show you a range of properties. Ready to go?
Excellent.
Ready.
This way.
OK.
Fantastic.
For a maximum budget of £850,000, Peter and Lexi are looking for a light 3 to 4 bedroom property with 2 sitting rooms so they can each have their own space and a large garden to keep Peter busy. They'd like to be near to or on the edge of a village and within half an hour's drive from their daughter in Bath. We've got 3 cracking properties ready for them to view. At each one, they'll have a chance to guess the property's price tag before I reveal it. And for our final offering, we found a mystery house overflowing with character and providing a massive amount of potential. We're starting off our search in the small hamlet of Standerwick. Just a mile away in the pretty village of Beckington, rows of beautiful stone-built cottages and a 16th century inn serve as a reminder of the village's prosperity from the wool trade. It was once home to Thomas Seymour, who married Queen Catherine Parr after Henry VIII's death. The house I want to show them is just a 3-minute drive away and is a slice of history in itself.
Now, when you come down that driveway, suddenly you're met by a rather unexpected beauty, aren't you?
Really good.
Now, that's old.
How old do you think it might be?
Peter?
I'll put you out of your misery. Parts of this house date back to the 1390s.
Blimey.
Really?
It's thought that this probably would have been a bailiff's house way back then.
Goodness.
What about this as a position?
It's lovely.
Yeah, it's lovely. It is lovely.
Apart from the fact it looks really quirky, just wondering about the light and airiness. That's what's going to be interesting.
You have never looked at a house like this before, and you never
Correct.
probably will
They
again.
don't have them round Camberley.
No, they don't. They don't make many of these, I tell you. It's gorgeous. Come with me.
OK.
Although you wouldn't guess it from the outside, this property has had 2 very sympathetic extensions to the side and rear within the last 15 years. At the back is where we find a huge kitchen and dining room.
Now, this is the modern extension. So this is all made from scratch. They said they drove their carpenter to distraction because he said he never wanted to make another cabinet with curved wood on
And
it.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But there are some things here as well that they just thought, why can't you buy bigger ones? What would make our life easier
Yeah.
or more enjoyable? For example, the fridge, which is where? I'll give you a clue. It's massive.
What's that?
Colder, colder, warmer, warmer.
Here.
That's it. Take a look at that.
Brilliant.
Have a look.
Oh, that is clever.
Go on, man.
Oh, yes. Now, that's a real fridge,
It's a
because that's a
walk-in
larger
fridge.
fridge.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's
No,
really
that's
lovely.
excellent.
And family coming to visit, you've got room here. This is the part of the house you spend all your time in the day in.
I do like this room.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
This is beautiful.
Very impressive.
Also on the ground floor is a practical utility, a stylish shower room and downstairs WC. The extension on the back of the property houses a sunny garden room, the perfect Pilates studio for Lexi. But in the original part at the front of the house is the main sitting room.
Just mind your head coming through. The bending of the head is worth the wonderful character you get in this house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is very different, isn't it?
It is. Done a good job here, haven't they?
Now, you've got a reception room as you walk in through there.
Yeah.
Another reception room here. Your 2 reception rooms that you asked for. You've got a study or office area on the ground floor here.
Right.
There is also a space at the top of the house, which I think you might start to fight over, because is that another television room or is it an office space?
I have to say, it's better than I expected.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I can see that the conservatory through there provides a lot of light.
Yeah.
So that's a positive sign.
What do you think, Lexi?
I'm feeling a bit claustrophobic.
Right, OK.
The beams concern me a bit. In some ways, I love them because I just want to touch them because they're so old.
Yeah, yeah.
But the one with the metal across it, I can see myself actually my head open.
So quite mixed reactions to the areas on offer on the ground floor. Upstairs, the 3 guest bedrooms aren't huge, but 2 are doubles and would comfortably accommodate visiting family. There's also a large contemporary bathroom and the master bedroom.
Now, you all need to mind your heads here, Lexi and Peter,
Yeah.
but look at this gorgeous room again.
These are serious beams, aren't they?
Yeah. Big enough, isn't it?
It's a bit cosy than what we've got, but I think
Well, that's what we need.
that's what we need, yeah, and the sort of style is absolutely perfect, really.
And they've kept the decor really lovely and simple, so you see the beams too. And
Yeah.
it helps reflect the light. So it doesn't feel dark, even though the windows are quite small.
Well, it's such a gorgeous day. Let's get back outside and start talking about the gardens, but also start thinking about price.
OK.
OK.
I think this house proves that period properties don't all come with dark, poky interiors. Outside, the garden is mostly lawned. There's a small area to the rear, with the majority to the front and sides of the property.
Now, half an acre of garden you said you're after. The plot size, I think, is approaching half an acre. What do you think?
It's a lovely plot.
Yeah, it's a nice sized plot.
Is it big enough to start getting a bit more adventurous, do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of potential here, I think, for a couple of apple trees, fruit trees, that sort of thing.
OK, good news. So how much do you think this house is on the market for?
I think this house is on the market for £750,000.
OK. Lexi?
I would say it's going to be more than that, so I'm going to go more 795.
Not far off. This place is on the market for offers around £800,000. All right?
OK.
We would never have probably chosen to look at this one, but having done so, I think it's really great.
I'd like you to go back into the house now, have a good look around all the areas on your own, and I'll meet you whenever you're done. All right?
OK.
See you in a moment.
I think this beautiful period property could really work for Peter and Lexi. There are 4 bedrooms, and with 2 sitting rooms, a 3rd space in the loft and a modern, bright kitchen, they'd get all the living spaces they wanted. With a large garden for Peter, it's just a mile from the nearest village and under half an hour from their daughter in Bath.
The vaulted ceilings are magnificent, aren't they? Really are. But the bedrooms might be a bit small. What do you think?
It feels like somewhere I'd want to come and spend a holiday, but I can't actually imagine living here. There were 2 things that surprised me when we came inside. First thing was that, yes, it is light and airy, which I hadn't expected. Secondly was the amount of beams, the feeling that emanates from the beams. It's a fascinating property, it really is.
If I have one sticking point with the property, it's the garden. The size is just about right, really, but its orientation seems to be wrong, and 95% of it, I guess, is towards the front, and that is slightly disappointing.
I've got some thinking to do, whether there's actually some mileage here.
Well, you're a short amount of time there, and I don't blame you taking your time in this house, because it's quite something to behold, isn't it?
It certainly
It's amazing,
is.
yeah, it's really lovely.
Testament to the hard work and graft that's gone into it by the owners. Whether or not it's for you, that remains to be seen. Onward and upward?
Onwards.
OK.
On the southern edge of the Mendip Hills, in the heart of the cathedral city of Wells, the Bishop's Palace and Gardens have been home to the Bishops of Bath and Wells for 800 years. Surrounded by a moat, the palace was built in the early 13th century by the first bishop, Jocelyn Trotman. Keen to learn about the county's history, Lexi and Peter have come along to meet tour guide Ken Beecham.
Do the bishops still reside here?
The amazing thing about this is that this is a place where the bishop still lives. There have been, I think, some 60 bishops that have lived here, and it's still a working palace, so his offices are still here too. That's quite unusual.
Have there been any iconic moments or historic events that have happened here over the last 800 years?
Goodness me, there are so many. I mean, I could tell you about Bishop Beckington. He's the man who, in the 1400s, decided to give water free to the people of the town. He actually channeled some water from the wells through pumps, pumped it down to the town and gave it to the people of the town free. Previously, people had to pay for that water. That was quite an amazing moment.
Inside the palace, visitors can walk in the footsteps of the past bishops and explore a number of rooms which are open to the public. One of the most impressive is the Long Gallery.
And this was such an important part of the place. You know, the bishop was the most powerful man in the whole region, so if you wanted to get a decision made, this is where you had to come. Each bishop has interesting stories. This one here, Bishop Peter Price, was the last bishop before this one. And do you notice anything strange about that painting?
There's a lady in it?
Correct. That's the only painting of a bishop we have here that has a lady in it. That's actually his wife, and he wanted her in it because she played such an important part in all the renovation of the buildings and the grounds that went on in recent years. Maybe in a few years' time, we might see a painting of a lady bishop with a husband in the background. Who knows?
You never know.
Outside, the surrounding 14-acre gardens have been transformed over the centuries as each of the bishops added their legacy. Today, they have a Grade 2 listed garden status due to their special historic nature. Peter's keen to meet head gardener James Cross, who oversees a team of over 20 volunteers helping to maintain the grounds.
This is the community garden, and this is open to anybody from the local community who might like to come in and have a go at gardening and growing some of these lovely flowers and some of the produce we grow as well.
Great idea. These are interesting.
Yep, these are calendula, these orange flowers, and I thought you both might like to have a go at cutting some flowers and bunching them up ready for sale.
OK.
The upkeep costs at the palace and gardens are huge, and they rely heavily on income from visitors and the help of volunteers to keep it running. Fruit and vegetables grown here in the community gardens are used in the kitchen of the on-site cafe and are sold in the gift shop along with plants and cut flowers.
If we get a selection of these calendula, and then probably maybe 3 other flowers.
What are the yellow and brown flowers over there?
That's Coreopsis, another annual, and that's very good for encouraging lots of hoverflies and bees into the garden.
This year sees a number of well-deserved achievements for the team. The gardens have been given a partner garden status by the Royal Horticultural Society for their exceptionally high standard of planting and design. In addition, visitor numbers are expected to soon reach 85,000, a figure which has more than doubled in the last 5 years.
Well, that looks like it's just about ready, I think, to be sold.
OK.
Shall we take them down to the shop? That's it. And yeah, if you would like to be volunteers, one day you're very welcome to come and join us.
But for now, it's back to the house hunt to find out if our next property is going to be the pick of the bunch. We're crossing the county border into Wiltshire and heading to Bradford-on-Avon, less than 8 miles from the centre of Bath. This market town is considered by many to be a mini Bath and is a visitor hotspot due to its historic architecture, attractive riverside setting and a selection of shops and cafes, including an award-winning tea room housed in a 16th century blacksmith's cottage. On the bridge in the centre of town stands a small domed building known as the Lockup, which was used in the 1700s as a town jail. I'm hoping our next house will be just as arresting. It's a 20-minute walk from the town centre.
Property number 2, you can see, is... well, it's almost the polar opposite, isn't it?
New?
Yeah? 5 years old.
Right, OK.
But not all of it's new. This is a converted piggery.
That is appropriate.
Wonderfully romantic, I know. But to all intents and purposes, it feels very much up together as a modern home, but
Yep.
shrouded, if you like, in that local stone that gives you that character feel.
Yeah.
Happy to go inside?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's
Come
do
on in.
that.
Okay.
After their mixed reactions to the period property I showed them, I'm keen for Lexi and Peter to see something really modern. This house is almost brand new, and with solar panels in the garden, it's also eco-friendly.
So totally different to house number one. What say you, Lexi?
It is very different from house number one. It is lovely and light and airy. So,
Yeah, that's the first thing that
Yeah.
grabs me,
Yeah.
is how bright it is and
which is what we did
looking
say.
through.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that view through there. I like it. I like this room.
do you?
Yeah, I do.
So you've got a flow with this house, as you
Yeah.
can see. Like this room, it feels like a bit of a hub of the room as well. The staircase going off, you've got a ground floor bedroom or study, and a fantastic dining room there, which I think you'd open those doors up and spend a lot of time in there, wouldn't
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
It looks like it.
you? Well, these are good first impressions. Let's see what you think of the kitchen. Come with me.
Okay.
The far end of the living room leads to the modern, bright kitchen, and beyond it, there's a utility room and downstairs WC.
So I reckon the kitchen's a pretty good size.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, most importantly, that room brings the garden into play
Yes.
and all those views, doesn't it?
It does. It's nice.
Yeah.
The view is the winner for this house rather than the house itself from what we've seen so far. It's not making my heart tick at all.
No, and a lot of modern houses don't. But you have to inject something into a
Yes.
modern property.
Yes. Yeah, no, I can see that. The other one already had... Its history was oozing out of it and all its personality was oozing. This has still got history to be made in it, I suppose.
Let me take you upstairs and show you what we've got there for the bedrooms.
So far, this property seems to be a slow burner for Lexi and Peter, but I think the upstairs offers the practical space they're hoping for. There are 3 bedrooms, including 2 doubles with built-in storage. They share the use of a family bathroom, ideal for guests. And the master bedroom is en suite.
But I really like this room. Initially, great views there.
Wonderful.
right?
Yeah.
But I think the best views in the house are actually from the ensuite, from the loo. Through this gable end there, you've got views right out over to the local golf course, which is quite handy if you decide to take that sport up.
Well, yes, I can see myself
Retirement
chipping a
beckons?
few. Yeah.
And I can watch you.
Oh, well, that's as involved as you're going to get, is it?
Yes, I do like this room. It's nice.
Tell me, the first house, you said to me when we were there, we don't think we would have chosen to come here. But you reacted really well to that house as soon as you saw it. Now, I reckon this is the sort of house that you would have come to look at,
Yep.
but you have been a bit quieter in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. No, it's absolutely right.
No, well,
Yeah.
good perception because it's not taking me in the same way as the first
No.
house did.
Outside, though, I think it's probably more up your street, Peter. Let me just squeeze through here.
The main access to the garden is through the bifold doors from the dining area. There's a huge level lawn with a decked area for entertaining, complete with a pizza oven. The old tennis court has been covered over to create raised beds, and there's a huge vegetable plot separated from the main garden by a hedge.
What do we think?
I like it. I like the size. I have to say, that's got to go.
What's going to go?
The tennis court, a half tennis court.
Get one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to make some changes here. Of course you are, but you've got space to do that, haven't you? I mean, a bit like the house. Would you take that project on?
Well, it would be a big project, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's achievable and we've got time to achieve it.
Well, you have.
I have, yes.
So how much do you think this place is on the market for?
£695,000.
He's mean, isn't he? Go on.
That's what I was going to say. OK, I think it's under the 700, so maybe, yeah, 680. So I think it's about...
Well, one thing I do believe about you two is the fact you haven't looked at houses here before, because you're both way out. Again.
All right.
Well, you are, at least. The asking price for this house offers around £755,000.
OK.
Okay.
That's a big surprise, I should think.
It is, actually. I suppose the location, it is relatively close to Bradford, so that's quite handy to get down to.
Go back into the house. I think what you really need to discuss is, could we live in this house? Could we make this house a home? As
Yeah.
cliched as that sounds.
OK.
All right?
Yep.
Right.
I'll catch you in a moment.
Okay.
This property gives Lexi and Peter everything they said they wanted. A bright and airy property with 3 good-sized bedrooms. They could use the downstairs study as a second TV room, and outside, there's scope for Peter to create an amazing garden whilst enjoying the fabulous views. Plus, it's only 20 minutes to Bath.
Today has been a real surprise for me, actually. They always say that you'd never know how you feel about a house until you come in and actually visit it. What Johnny has done today is to really make us rethink what it is that we want and what we're looking for.
In a way, I'm quite surprised by my reaction to this house. I thought it would be a lot more favourable than it is. I love the view, I like the garden, I just don't feel it's the one for us.
So two very different houses to think about now, aren't they?
Very.
Very different,
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Hopefully so. And with this beautiful weather, maybe something to chat about over a sundowner. Yeah?
Sounds like a
Sounds
great
a great
idea.
idea, yes.
It's day 2 of our house hunt with Peter and Lexi, who, with a generous budget of £850,000, are selling up in Surrey to be nearer their daughter in Somerset. Coming up, our buyers get more than they bargained for with our mystery house.
Impressive.
Not what you expect at all.
What were you expecting then?
I had a feeling of more small rooms.
Yeah, small, cramped rooms.
And I pay a visit to one of Somerset's most spiritual sites.
It's a story, and it's a wonderful story. You know, I think if you found proof of this story, it would be a great shame.
We wouldn't be talking about it right now, would we?
No, we wouldn't.
Well, I think yesterday it was a triumph, if you like, of style and character over practicality. Now, we're off to see the Mystery House, and for Peter and Lexi, we're going to take that theme and run with it. As it's a mystery property, of course, it's got loads of character. It oozes charm and quirkiness. But it's a big lump of property, so we could be showing them maybe too much of a good thing.
Our mystery house takes us to the hamlet of Hallertrow, back in northeast Somerset. The village of Paulton is just 5 minutes away by car and has all the key amenities, including a post office, a community library and a number of pubs. The Cam Brook runs north of the village back to Hallertrow and through the garden of our imposing mystery property.
Now, I think this is the best vantage point of our mystery house.
Right. Yeah.
I hear running water.
Yeah, great, isn't it?
Interesting.
This was a mill. They knew where to build mills, to harness the power of the water, but not to get flooded.
It's quaint, but it's very old. It's very big.
The reason we brought you here, the reason it's a mystery house, because this gives you the opportunity to maybe earn some extra money.
OK.
You can completely self-contain the cottage on that side, rent it out.
Yep.
On a beautiful sunny day, I can imagine it could be almost quite idyllic, really.
Worth considering.
Yeah. Well,
OK.
can't wait to see inside.
Good, let's do that. Mind your step, it's slippery.
Peter and Lexi are clearly thrown by the size of this huge 18th century mill, but I'm hoping they'll bear with me because it's packed full of potential. The main house has an unusual upside-down layout featuring the principal living areas up on the first floor, as well as the master bedroom with ensuite. However, to the far end of this floor is where we find 3 bedrooms within the self-contained cottage. And this cottage end has a more conventional layout with its kitchen, dining room and sitting room down on the ground floor. We're starting our tour back in the open-plan kitchen and dining area of the first floor.
Now, a very impressive room awaits you here.
Wow.
It is wow, isn't it, really?
Impressive.
Not what you expect at all.
What were you expecting, then?
I had a feeling of more small rooms.
Yeah. Small, cramped rooms. This is pretty impressive.
It is.
It is, yeah.
The challenge for you guys here is how you would make this work for you, because open plan is one thing, but you want 2 separate living rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you start to consider other rooms in this property for your separate living rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first property showed us that, don't write anything off at the first moment. Have a think about it and, be flexible and see where it can change for you.
Keep that mindset with this house.
Yeah. OK.
You might be surprised. Come with me to the master bedroom.
Okay.
Right.
Mind your step. So this is very much a master suite. You've got a walk-in wardrobe there.
Yeah.
A fantastic ensuite bathroom with a separate shower. and a twin aspect bedroom.
Yeah.
Cosy, small-ish.
This is the biggest bedroom I've shown you.
Yeah, it's a nice shaped room.
I think it lacks, for me, the wow factor, I have to say.
If you didn't like this master bedroom, and this is going to confuse you, there's another bedroom, the other side of the kitchen space, if you like, where that study area is. Because this house has that cottage at the end, which is self-contained, but up on this first floor, there are bedrooms there as well.
Right.
OK? Remember, you do have options with this house. Stay with me or you'll get lost.
From the outside, this property looks a bit daunting, and it does take a while to get your head around the inside layout. We've explored the first floor, but there's lots more to discover downstairs on the ground floor. There's an office and a utility room. Then a long corridor takes us past a family bathroom and 3 bedrooms. There are 2 doubles and a smaller single room. At the far end, there's access to the cottage, which, if they wanted, Peter and Lexi could rent out for around £950 a month. Our next stop is the cottage sitting room, or games room.
You might not have been expecting to see this kind of furniture in an old mill.
OK.
That'll keep the grandchildren happy, I guess.
God, wouldn't it just?
Well, it's different.
It is different.
That's the whole purpose of this process. Show me something different.
This could be completely self-contained. Now, what would you do? Would you use this cottage yourselves, or would you try and rent it out?
Yeah, I think it'd be a case of letting it out, but there might be ways of adapting it and taking some of the cottage back into the house.
I can hear your cogs whirring away. Let's go back outside to that lovely balcony and we'll start thinking about price for this house as well.
OK.
All right?
I'm not sure whether Peter and Lexi are sold on this property, but it's certainly got them thinking, which is exactly what a mystery house should do. Back in the main house, the living areas open onto a balcony overlooking the large mature gardens and the stream below.
Now, breakfast, lunch or dinner on this balcony would be a splendid thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Sunny day, it'd be beautiful.
Yeah. So come on, guys, tell me, do you like what you see?
I like what I see, but not as somewhere I want to live.
Oh, it's one of those mystery houses, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. It's a really interesting property. It's got a lot of potential for someone. Just don't think that someone's us.
How much do you think it's on the market for, then?
I really don't know, but I'm going to say 795.
That would have been my number,
Oh, well, you can't have
but it's going to be £775,000.
Good guess. You're getting better. This place is on the market for offers around £750,000.
OK.
Which I think you get.
It's a lot of house
get
money.
a lot,
You
don't you?
get a lot of house for that money,
You would.
yeah.
Go back into the house, have a good look around at all of it. I think it's so interesting, but there's so much of it. And I will meet you whenever you're done. All right?
OK.
See you in a moment.
Right.
Well, if this is the only house I was showing him, I might be rather frustrated. My expression would probably reflect that of the guy on the bridge there, but I think this is throwing them towards one of the other 2 houses we've shown them, so I think it's a very, very good exercise.
Under budget by £100,000, this huge mystery mill house has masses of living space. With the potential to separate the main property from the self-contained cottage, Peter and Lexi could create a beautiful 4-bedroom home for themselves and rent out the cottage. There's a large garden with a stream running through it, and it's just a 25-minute drive to Bath.
We can see the charm of the house, but I think there's too much that we'd have to finish off or alter to make it work for us.
Big back garden, a lot of potential, but somehow, really not for me.
I think we should find you somewhere now to maybe take a moment, chat things through, talk about all 3 properties, and then we'll have a chat after that, yeah?
Sounds
Great.
good.
Come with me.
For centuries, people have journeyed to the market town of Glastonbury in the heart of Somerset to immerse themselves in its vibrant mix of history, myth and legend. This historic centre of pilgrimage draws people from different walks of life from all over the world.
Do you live in Glastonbury?
I do.
Perfect. Why do you live in Glastonbury? What brought you here?
The madness. You can just be who you should be. Nobody hassles you when you're being yourself.
It's a very free place, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Around 80 different faiths and beliefs are thought to be upheld in the town, one of the greatest concentrations per capita in the world.
Do you think it's the people or the location that's different here?
I think the location makes people different.
Yeah.
There are things that you see every day that you probably would never ever see anywhere else.
In the centre of town, the site of Glastonbury Abbey, founded in the 7th century and enlarged in the 10th century, has its own history dominated by faith and tradition. I'm meeting local expert Tor Webster to find out more about what was once the second largest and most affluent abbey in England after Westminster.
So why was it built here? I mean, I can understand why Westminster Abbey was built where it is, but out here in Glastonbury, I mean, what was the idea here?
Well, the story goes back 2,000 years ago when the great uncle of Christ apparently came here with Mary Magdalene and built a wattled church here in 62 AD. So the oldest church in Britain, maybe even greater than that across the world.
So what we see today, this structure dates back to when?
This was built, as we kind of see it now, the 1500s. Built up over the years by many, many abbots, basically.
OK, so this was probably world famous, this structure. How did it end up like this?
Well, sadly, Henry VIII wanted to create the Church of England. So churches such as this that were Catholic places of learning had to be destroyed because he didn't want anybody learning about the Catholic faith if the Church of England was going to survive.
Although the structure was destroyed, its history and stories live on. The most famous being the legend of King Arthur, whose remains were said to have been discovered here nearly 1,000 years ago.
Site of the ancient graveyard where in 1191 the monks dug to find the tombs of Arthur and Guinevere. Why were they digging here?
Well, the monks, we believe, knew that Arthur and Guinevere were here. There were whispers of kings and queens buried here.
Of course, there must be lots of people over the years have asked you the question, come on, who was he? Did he exist? What's your thoughts on that?
There's stories locally in Glastonbury that he was a Druid king and he came to Glastonbury and was converted into Christianity. And that's why he became a hero. It's a story, and it's a wonderful story. You know, I think if you found proof of this story, it would be a great shame, because you'd lose a lot of the magic, a lot of the intrigue, a lot of the discovery. You know, once you've proven it, it's gone and
we wouldn't
left,
be talking about it right now, would we?
No, we wouldn't.
Legend has it that when the remains were dug up, the Benedictine monks moved them to the eastern part of the abbey, where they were reburied just in front of the high altar.
This is pride of place, this is front row seats. This is it, isn't it?
This is where the monks held their services and sang and...
Goodness me. Shows just how celebrated they were.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, going back to the dissolution of the monasteries, King Henry VIII and his town planning, if you like, completely wrecked this place.
Yeah.
What happened to Arthur and Guinevere, then?
Well, we believe the monks got word that the army were coming here to destroy the abbey, and they cracked open the lids and took the bodies probably somewhere in the landscape.
Well, if I was being mean, I'd probably say, well, that's quite convenient. The bones are no longer here, aren't they? But I like the fact that the legend continues.
Exactly.
They're somewhere else now. Go and find them.
Yeah.
Whether I believe in the legend of King Arthur, I'm not sure. But what I like about the Abbey and Glastonbury itself is that it's a magnificent place where religious traditions, tolerance and important English folklore all still resonate in our own time.
I think we should go on a treasure hunt for some more bones, don't you?
I've got a spade in the car.
Come on, let's go then. Because I think if we find these bones, we're made for life. Well, I think Peter and Lexi have had three really strong properties to consider, each with its own unique selling points. But I think they're both really surprised in the fact that house number one for them is actually edging it. But let's find out from them their thoughts. Well, three very different properties we've looked at. And I think I know your favourite house, but that would mean things have changed quite considerably.
Yes.
Put me out of my misery.
For me, the favourite house was definitely number one.
Well, things have changed, haven't they? And Lexi?
Yeah, also number one.
You've come round about and gone back to the property that I thought halfway through you'd written off.
I had.
Yeah.
Yes.
What we discovered was that you need to look beyond what you first see and see the potential that sits within a property. And that was a bit of an eye-opener, really.
If I'd have shown you house number one, number two and the mystery house on paper, I think at the start of this, you'd probably say, we'll go for house number two.
Number two.
Yeah.
Very practical, wonderful views, great outside space. But actually, I think the mystery property is almost pushed you over the edge toward property number one, as property number one, by comparison, is probably a bit more practical.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Have you surprised yourselves in what you've liked, what you haven't liked, your decision-making, Peter?
Yes, I think so. I mean, we shouldn't really have liked the first house before we started this process, but we should have liked the second, and somehow we've managed to put everything on its head and come out liking the first one a lot.
So what's the next step?
I think we have decided we'd like to go back and have a look at house number one again.
Excellent news.
In some ways, I can't quite believe it.
Well, second viewings are always a very positive thing. It's a small first step, but it's a step in the right direction. So I wish you both the very best of luck. Whatever happens, do please let us know.
We will.
We will.
And thanks very much for your help.
Pleasure. Good luck.
Cheers,
Thank
Johnny.
you.